Hello, amazing entrepreneur. It's Tash Corbin here, and welcome to another episode of the Heart-Centered Business Podcast. This is episode number 275, which means you can find all the relevant links and show notes for today's episode over at tashcorbin.com/275. In this powerful episode of the Heart-Centered Business Podcast, we are going to be talking all about sales funnels. And I'm also going to give you a few of my favorite examples. So if you've been thinking about how you might be able to incorporate sales funnels into your business model, this is going to be a great episode for you. Let's dive on in. I'm Tash Corbin, and this is the Heart-Centered Business Podcast. First and foremost, what exactly is a sales funnel? I know that we hear about them all over the place when we have an online business, but for most of you, you'll already have sales funnels in place. It's just that you don't realize that that's what they are. So a sales funnel is simply a step-by-step process through which you take people from finding you into buying from you. That's it. And that step-by-step process does not necessarily have to be a straight line process. One of my favorite things about sales funnels is that you can have multiple entry points, multiple exit points, and it doesn't necessarily have to be this one sausage factory way that people go from finding out about you to actually buying from you. There are some really beautiful and connected and empowering ways that you can go through that process with people without making them feel like you're adding more and more pressure as you go through each step. So the sales funnel that I am talking about in today's episode is simply the process through which you take people who find you through to finally purchasing from you, and all of the things that you could be doing in order to encourage that along the way. Now, there are different levels of funnels that have different levels of automation, different levels of like the number of steps through the funnel process, and also different sales funnels might work to convert people into different ways of working with you. So the type of sales funnel that I would design to sell your VIP one-to-one package, for example, would be quite different to the sales funnel that I would set up to sell a $7 a month membership. So different sales funnels will require different strategies and will work more or less effectively depending on what it is that you're wanting to sell people into. Now, the first mistake that I see people make when it comes to building their sales funnels is that they build them from the top down. So they build that customer journey through the lens of, well, what kind of content do I want to create and do I want to share with my audience? And then what freebie would they be really excited to find? And then how do I then make that freebie sell the product that I'm focused on selling at that point in time? What happens when people build their sales funnels this way is that often they will recruit a giant audience who aren't the ideal match for the final product, and it's almost like you're trying to squeeze people through a process that wasn't built for them. Another reason why this can be quite tricky is that when you build the free resource or the thing that people sign up for or opt into as part of that sales process, if you're not building that free thing to do its job, which is help people move forward on their journey and understand the deeper transformation that the paid product or service will deliver, then that freebie is not going to do a very good job for you of converting. And what you'll find is that you get a bunch of people who sign up for your freebies, who come into your funnel, but they get stuck at certain steps along the way because that funnel wasn't built strategically. So when it comes to building sales funnels, my number one recommendation is we build from the bottom up. You don't build a sales funnel until you have absolute clarity about what it is you want to sell at the end of it, and you already know how to sell that thing in a one-to-one way. So if you've got a new product or service and you've never sold that product or service before, then I don't recommend you start at the top of your sales funnel and build some reach to audience that you might think want it. I would instead start by talking to your warmest audiences and starting to have some connected conversations with people about this new product or service, and ensure you have proof of concept first. And once you've got that proof of concept, you know what people's questions are going to be about the product, what objections they might have, why they would prioritize investing in this particular thing, and also the types of content that are going to draw your ideal clients into that sales funnel. So whenever building sales funnel, I always build it from the bottom up. The second tip I have for building sales funnels is to build it through high connection, high conversion strategies first, and then automate it once it works. So when it comes to selling your group program, I would recommend a live launch first with live lead magnets such as webinar or a challenge before you ever try and get it selling on autopilot. Now, the reason why I recommend doing it this way is that you have access to a two-way conversation when your lead magnet is more connected. If people are at the webinar, they're going to ask you questions. If you have people participating in your challenge, you're going to see where they get stuck along the way, and you are able to pivot, adjust, and adapt much, much more readily when it's a live delivered launch than if it is a completely pre-recorded sales funnel. And if you are, for example, putting together a 20-minute video as a free opt-in or lead magnet for your sales funnel, and people are watching the video but they're not purchasing from you, then you don't have access to where they got stuck in that video. You might not have people reaching out and asking questions because they're in a disconnected state from you. So the more high connection you can make that sales funnel or that process before you automate it, the more feedback and insight and information you'll have, so that when you do start to automate parts of that process, you'll do it through the lens of confidence that you know that you are covering off on the key points. You know you've got your messaging clear. You know you're attracting the right people into that sales funnel. So one of the other things I want to say about that is I find for most of my clients, when they have a connected sales funnel, their conversion rate is a lot higher than a disconnected sales funnel. So when you first start building that funnel, having that high connection helps you make sure that you're getting a much quicker return on investment. You're getting more sales coming through because people have that connection to you. And then when you start to automate it, you'll have the budget to bring in a larger audience into that funnel, so you don't need those conversion rates to be quite so high. And that is generally the experience if your sales funnel is an automated and not so connected sales funnel, then chances are it's not going to convert as well. So you're going to need more people going through that funnel. Therefore, you're going to need that budget to get in front of more and more people. So that is Sales Funnels 101 and a couple of tips when it comes to developing sales funnels. Now, actually, if you've followed me for a period of time, you'll have heard of me talking about my client attraction process. And the client attraction process is basically the strategy behind any funnel. So the client attraction process is 5 steps, and that is reach, so reaching your audience, reaching an audience that fits your ideal client. Nurture, nurturing that audience so that they are moving a little further along their journey and understanding the deep transformation that you're offering. Then lead generation, so that is getting people to make a micro commitment and self-identify as a lead and jump into either being a lead in terms of signing up for a lead magnet or jumping into a sales conversation with you. And then conversion, actually getting the sale, and step 5 is delivery. So if you look at that client attraction process through the lens of an automated sales funnel, you can see you're going to need to take people through those 5 steps. And that is an application of the client attraction process. So it's all congruent with everything that I always share when it comes to attracting and converting clients online. It's simply applying it in a very specific strategy that is a sales funnel. So when you think about that, then you know the pieces that you need to put into your sales funnel. So you need a way to reach the right people. You need a way to nurture those people. You need a way for the right people who are interested in working with you, who are the right fit for further work with you, to generate a lead. And then you need a way of converting. And of course, you want to make sure that you deliver. So whenever you're designing a client attraction process or a sales funnel, you can use those same steps to map out what's going to happen at each stage of the process. And here is the biggest mistake I see people make when it comes to building sales funnels, other than building from the top. And that is they build all the pieces, but they don't join them together effectively. So for example, if you have built a sales funnel that is a checklist that then invites people to jump in and watch a video, that has an email sequence and then upsells them into your group program, a lot of people don't keep the line of sight and connection really clear between those different steps. You need to make it really obvious and clear to the people who are coming through that process. So if people are following you on social media, you need to consistently and through lots of different angles keep telling them about that checklist. You don't just put the checklist on your website and people magically find it. That's not going to give you the best chance of success with that funnel. So you want to make sure you're walking people through that process step by step and consistently reminding people of what the next step is for them, depending on where they are in the process. So before I go into some of my favorite examples of sales funnels, I thought it would be a good idea for us to talk about how we measure the success of a sales funnel as well. And regardless of whether your sales funnel is a high connection, high conversion one or a more automated sales funnel, it's important that we pay attention to its success and that we have some measures so that we can identify where we might need to make some improvements. So quite obviously, I think, the first area that I would be looking at in terms of measuring the success of my sales funnel is conversion rate. But that conversion rate isn't just one conversion rate. In most cases, when a sales funnel has multiple steps, you're looking at the conversion rate on all of those steps. So you're looking at on each stage of the journey, what is the percentage of people who take the next step? So if you've got people who are following you on social media, what percentage of those people are jumping onto your mailing list or clicking over to check out the sign up page for that free webinar? And then what percentage of people who go to that sign up page actually end up signing up? And what percentage of the people who sign up actually show up? And what percentage of the people who sign up watch the replay? And then what percentage of people open the emails that follow? And then what percentage of people click through to what it is that you're selling if you're selling something on a sales page? And then how many people are buying? So there's lots and lots of conversion rates that you can be looking at and assessing to see where maybe people get caught in the process or stuck in the process. Generally, if I can look at your numbers in your sales funnel, I can tell you exactly where you need to be focusing your energy to make that sales funnel work more effectively. And so that's a really great way to be able to identify success. However, I also want to be really clear that conversion rate is not the only measure of success of a sales funnel. If I have a sales funnel that's converting at, say, 2%, but it has a 25% unsubscribe rate, then chances are I'm not going to be happy with the results of that sales funnel because it's a churn and burn funnel. What it's doing is it's burning a bunch of leads, generally through too many emails or that process being too aggressive in terms of getting signups. Now, I've never had a sales funnel with a 25% unsubscribe rate, but that is definitely something that I look at. I want to ensure that when people go through my processes, even the people who don't purchase still feel like it was a really good decision to jump in, right? So when people come to one of my webinars, I want the people who purchase to end feeling really amazing. And I want the people who don't purchase to also feel like that was a great return on investment for my time to come to that webinar. And I feel really excited about implementing what I've learned. So I'm very conscious of ensuring that I am having people feel really amazing as part of that process. And also, I do pay attention to unsubscribes because I want to know if people are sticking around. And one of the big things for me is that, there's some rhetoric out there that says, and a lot of marketers say this, if people don't buy from you in their first 30 days, they're never going to buy from you. That may be true of hyper-aggressive marketing strategies, but when it comes to heart-centered, consent-driven marketing strategies, I don't find that to be the case at all. In fact, the average length of time from someone coming into the Tash Corbin world to purchasing something from me is about 180 days. And I think that that's actually a really good sign for me. I don't necessarily want to make that period of time any shorter. I just want to make the number of people coming in and the number of people purchasing be higher. I'm not interested in rushing people into a sale. I'm not interested in burning my leads and having a bunch of people unsubscribe or making people feel like if they don't buy now, then they're never going to succeed as part of my sales process. When I'm in a launch, that amount of time does shorten. So I'll have a bunch of people who might come in on a launch, or they came in on the previous launch. And so I have a lot of conversion happening in a launch, and I will see my average time to conversion drop down a little, maybe even down as low as 120 or 90 days on average. But then when I'm not in a launch, that amount of time goes up again. And then when I'm in a launch, it comes down. And when I'm not in a launch, it goes up. To me, that speaks volumes for the experience that people have when they come into my world. And I want that experience to be a positive one. I'm very conscious of not making people feel like they need to purchase urgently and immediately, otherwise they're not going to succeed. I know the longer people hang around in the Tash Corbin world, 1, the more successful their business becomes. 2, the more likely they are to purchase something from me in the future. And 3, the more likely they are to tell other people about Tash Corbin and my freebies or the resources of mine that they have enjoyed. And I've been seeing this a lot actually on my Facebook ads recently. So I have certain Facebook ads that go out and promote some of my free resources, $0 Facebook marketing plan, the Nail Your Niche training. I'll make sure I link to those in the show notes for you if you haven't seen them. But when I do ads for those freebies, most of the comments on those ads are people tagging their friends and saying, hey, such and such, this is that Tash lady I was talking about. I've done this training, you should check it out. Now, isn't that an amazing reflection on the experience those people are having once they opt into that sales funnel process? And so that is just as important to me as the conversion rates that I'm achieving. And if an automated funnel doesn't necessarily convert straight away, I know that I can convert in a launch, and that my live launches give people a really beautiful opportunity to really connect in further and learn what it's like to work with me, see a bit more of the depth in which I cover in my programs, and ultimately make the decision about whether buying that program is the right decision for them or not. And that's totally an empowered decision that they make, not a pressured decision that I force them into. So really think about, for your sales funnels, is your number one priority just to get that conversion rate up as high as possible? Because I know that if you put more emails in, you can get higher conversion rates. I know that if you put fake countdown timers in, you can get higher conversion rates. But I also know, for me, that means higher unsubscribe rates that I don't really want. And also, it's forcing people to take that action or make a decision in a rushed or urgent way that I don't need to create. I don't need to create false scarcity or manufacture urgency to get that conversion. I can create my sales funnels through this really space of abundance, and knowing that for the right people, they will continue to engage in the process. They will continue to engage in the resources and the content that I put out because they value that, and they are valuing our relationship. So I don't just measure on conversion, I also measure on unsubscribes, and also how people are feeling as a result of being through that process. So that how people are feeling is definitely something that, it's not a qualitative measure by any stretch of the imagination, but I do pay attention to things like getting emails back from people saying, oh my gosh, you're spamming me so much. I haven't had an email like that in years. I pay attention to whether people are tagging their friends and recommending those resources to others. I pay attention to unsubscribe rates. I pay attention to when I send out a new free resource to my existing mailing list, what percentage of my list instantly go and grab it. And that percentage is getting higher and higher because more of my audience are seeing that the free resources and content that I create is not going to dial up their fear. It's not going to force them into a sales process that overwhelms them and bombards them with fear-based marketing strategies and toxic messaging. So those sorts of things I'm also paying great attention to. Okay, now I've got 3 of my favorite types of funnels that I want to talk about with you in this podcast episode as well. Number 1, I want to talk about my funnel for the Nail Your Niche free training. So that funnel is to take people into the takeoff program through the lens of refining their niche in my free Nail Your Niche training. So that sales funnel looks a little bit like this. Both through organic and paid strategies, I am promoting my Nail Your Niche free training to my audience. So my organic strategies would be having it at the end of podcast episodes, emailing it about it to my list here and there, sharing it on my social channels, and promoting it in Facebook communities. So I have a range of different organic strategies that I use. Most of those organic strategies these days just work like clockwork. It's pretty automated. So if I mention the Nail Your Niche training, shout out to my team member who does the editing of this podcast, and then every time I say Nail Your Niche, links to the Nail Your Niche training, this automatically creates a prompt for my team to ensure that that Nail Your Niche training is linked to in the podcast episode, because I've talked about it, so they know to make sure that the links are really obvious so that people can go and check that out if that sparks their attention. When I'm doing other podcast episodes where niche comes up as a topic, I will also talk about that Nail Your Niche training at the end of that podcast episode, and my team automatically embed all of those links. Also, when it comes to my posts onto my Facebook page and onto Instagram, a lot of those posts that I can schedule, or my team can schedule for me, we have pre-written promo posts for those freebies, and they just get cycled out quite consistently. We pay attention to which promos do the best, and then we use those and maybe put some fresher ones in there as well. So a lot of that is all pretty automated in terms of my time that needs to go into that. The only space where it's not necessarily pre-scheduled or automated is in other Facebook communities, because I'm in those live and promoting and sharing things in those communities straight up. I'm in about 4 Facebook communities regularly, semi-regularly these days. I'm not in other people's Facebook groups as much as I previously was. I'm focusing more on some of my more scalable strategies these days, but I still do love being in those groups. So if I am in there and, there's an opportunity to promote something, I will mostly promote some of those freebies. And my Nail Your Niche freebie is one of my favorites because people absolutely love it. Now, when people and then the paid strategy is Facebook ads. So I have some Facebook ads that go to a podcast episode that has the Nail Your Niche training as the next step. And then I have some ads that go straight to the Nail Your Niche training. Both of those ads do relatively well. So once people have signed up for the Nail Your Niche training, they get an email instantly that delivers that training to their inbox. And then a few days later, they'll get a follow-up email as well. In both of those emails, I talk a little bit about the takeoff program and just encourage people to go and check it out if they're interested. I don't do a lot of hard sell in those emails. I don't have any other emails that go out in that sequence. It's just, here's the free thing that you asked for. And in the free training, I do talk about the takeoff program at the end. And I say at the end of the free training, I talk about the takeoff program. If you want to go and check it out, here's a couple of reasons why that might be benefit to you right now. Here's the link to go and check it out. So it's a nice, simple delivery email. And then I have a follow-up email. It's basically just reminding people that they signed up for the freebie, because I want to maximize the number of people who watch the Nail Your Niche freebie. So that second email is about 3 or 4 days after people have signed up, and it will say, just a quick reminder, I know we all sign up for free things, we don't necessarily watch them all, but this Nail Your Niche training is really valuable because ... and quick reminder about the takeoff program. You're an adult, you can make a decision about whether you want to go and check it out or not. I'm going to force you or put the hard sell on you right now. I just want you to know that if you want to come and check out the takeoff program, here's the link to go and do that. If you're looking for a mentor, I'd love to be that mentor. Come and check out the program. Simple as that. Now, so that is actually the end of that specific sales funnel, the Nail Your Niche freebie sales funnel. And that on its own will convert about 0.5%, sometimes 1%, depending on what percentage of people going through are organic audience versus paid audience. Paid cold audience generally doesn't convert as well. But that freebies job isn't necessarily just conversion. I love this sales funnel and wanted to talk to you about it because if someone has done my Nail Your Niche training, and then when I do a live launch of the Takeoff program and I run my 5-day client attraction challenge, that person is 8 times more likely to buy Takeoff in that launch. 8 times. Yes, 8 times more likely. So if someone comes into the 5-day client attraction challenge and they've not done my niching training, they are 1/8 as likely to buy the Takeoff program in that launch. So it's actually a 2-part sales funnel. Part A is my evergreen, bringing people in, some conversions, but it's getting people onto my mailing list. They're getting my newsletters, they're getting these podcast episodes, really developing a relationship with that person and not going for the hard sell immediately. But a few times a year, I do launch the Takeoff program with a live webinar and usually a live challenge, 5-day client attraction challenge or something along those lines. When I do start promoting that, those lead magnets, so those free events, those live events that I'm running in my Takeoff launch, I first and foremost promote it to my existing list and I let them know when it's happening and why they should sign up, and I have like this instant magic button so they don't even have to put their details in, they just click the button and they're automatically signed up for it. And these days, when I do that, about 500 people instantly register for that free thing. And most of those people who instantly register for that free thing have already come into my world through a freebie, right? That's how most people get onto my mailing list. And so those people who sign up for that challenge are the most likely to convert into the Takeoff program when I am promoting it, when I have that launch on. So then when they come and do the 5-day client attraction challenge, they're getting the 5 days of the challenge, and then we've got a 4 email follow-up sequence, and usually I'll have a special incentive to join on that launch. So come and join us now, we're doing a fast track round, or come and join us now, you'll get an extra masterclass, or come and join us now because I've got extra live calls happening, so you're going to be able to get through the first modules really quickly. So usually there's a reason why I'm incentivizing people to jump in and join us sooner rather than later. But, you know, no panics. But if now's the time for you to join, if you join us by this date, then you're going to get access to these extra calls or something else, a little bonus or incentive for joining sooner rather than later. So that sales funnel, if you were to just look at the Nail Your Niche training, you might decide, well, it's not really a great automated evergreen sales funnel. It only converts at 0.5%, maybe 1%. But when you see it in context of also the live launches that go with it, it's actually creating this amazing dynamic and it's creating this amazing relationship that we have that then means my 5-day client attraction challenge can convert anywhere up to 12 and 13% in most launches. And the reason why it converts so well is because a large portion of the people doing that challenge were already on my mailing list. They already did the niche training or the $0 Facebook marketing training, usually one of those 2 trainings. So that's a really beautiful sales funnel. I wanted to share that one with you because I think it's a really great example of where it doesn't all have to happen at once. You know, we get so caught up in this, oh, I have to sell them this and then I have to upsells and downsells and cross sells. That's a really simple 2-part process and I find it works really beautifully. Okay, I've got another example that I want to talk about, and this one is where you don't have a group program, but you want to sell your VIP one-to-one services. And so many people, when they think about selling VIP one-to-one services, they don't actually think about the way that they could scale and sequence that sales process to actually have a sales funnel for that process, because, you know, it's a VIP sale. So really I just have to get them on a sales conversation. So they go around the internet like, come on a sales call, come on a sales call, come on a sales call. Totally great. That's a great way to get started. But if you want to scale that up and start having people come to you for sales calls in a more automated way, this is a really great example of a sales funnel that you could use to do that. Now, I want to preface this one with, if you haven't sold your VIP package yet, if you're not attracting and converting people directly from your social channels yet, then don't build a funnel around it yet, because you've got to get that end of funnel process working and have confidence that you can convert before we go and build that funnel. So go and do those direct sell strategies, such as promoting your packages on social media, getting people on a sales call, running a webinar, get people on a sales call, do a Facebook Live, invite people onto a sales call, right? So you've got to go and do those direct sell things first and make sure your sales calls actually convert. We want to get them converting usually about 20 to 30% minimum. Most people do much better than that, but 20 to 30% conversion rate is a good one to aim for. Then once you've got that working, here's a sexy sales funnel. And I've actually helped a couple of VIP clients to set this sales funnel up so that they're getting those sales coming in on autopilot, or those sales conversations in particular. First part of this VIP sales funnel is a checklist. So regardless of what your niche is or what your topic area is, in most cases you can think of what would be a really helpful either checklist or PDF or something where there's some written content that will help people and be something that helps them move forward or identify an area where they need to be focusing their energy and attention. So for a health practitioner, that might be like a health checklist or a survey type thing where you're helping people identify where they need to be focusing. For in business, it might be like a process or a step-by-step flow chart on how to do something. So this VIP sales funnel then requires you to go out and start sharing that with as many people as possible. So you're going out and getting people signing up for this document, right? So some kind of PDF, whether it be checklist or template, or you can do swipe files or whatever it might be. Then in the emails that go after that checklist, in this instance, it asks people to go and invites people to go and watch a video. So in the signing up for the checklist, at the end of that document, there's a link to say, if you would like to see my step-by-step training on next step, then click this link and you can go and check it out. Or here's the link to go and check that one out. So then they go and check out another video. Now, you can also then incorporate that into the follow-up email sequence. So you've got the checklist, here it is. So it's in your inbox as well. And if you'd also like my step-by-step training on how to X, which is the next step, then here's how to go and access that one. If they go to the link in the document, it's a sign-up form. If they click the link in the email, it automatically tags them as having gone to see that video training. So the process, the follow-up emails for the checklist continue to go as long as someone hasn't clicked over for the video. So you might have 2 or 3 emails that just add value. That's all they're doing, and encourage people to go and check out the video, which is even more value. And then at the end of the video, there's a special invitation to book a free consult with you to talk about how you might be able to support them with the next steps. And so it's getting people onto that sales conversation. The follow-up emails from the video sequence also encourage people to think about your VIP product or service. So what your package might be. You might explain and share some case studies or testimonials. And in that email sequence, the goal is to get people onto the sales conversation. And then in the sales conversation, you do the conversion. So that's a really sexy way for you to set up a very automated funnel that is bringing people in. But the final step of the automated part, of the funnel part, is getting people onto a sales conversation. And in a one-to-one conversation, you do the conversion from there, because that part of the conversion process is the one that is best served by high connection strategies. So you are way more likely to convert that person into a paying client on a call than you are with just a couple of emails and getting them to go to a checkout page. So that's a really great example of applying the sales funnel process to a VIP package and not expecting the sale to happen on the email. So it's still going to be a really high conversion sales funnel because you're just getting people onto that call. And then another one, a great example that I love, and this is for a membership program. So I've definitely built this a few times for people who have membership programs, and that is having a video training. So a video training that people can access at any time, and you go and share that video training on social media, might do ads to it, again, organic and paid strategies to get people into that video training. And in the video training, it might be one video on its own, or it might be a series of 3 videos that they get access to. And in that video training, you are starting to seed the idea of having consistent support with this particular transformation. And you're talking about your membership in which you go deeper with people. And at the end of that video training, they'll get an email from you or a couple that tell them about your membership, why they should be joining. Maybe there's a special opportunity to join at a discount, or a $1 trial for your first month, or whatever you might like to try. And you're converting people into that membership. Now, if you do a video training as your lead magnet or opt-in for that type of funnel, one of the things I recommend is that you ensure that if someone signs up for that free thing, they can sign up, complete it, and consider your next steps within an hour. So if you're doing a 3-part sales training or a 3-part video series or whatever it might be, make sure that each of those videos is less than 20 minutes and give people access to everything at once. I know that there used to be this whole thing about making people jump through hoops, and they get the first video on the first day, and then 3 days later they get the second video, and then 3 days later they get the third video. Your most excited clients, your VIP superstars who are really excited to get through it and they want to get to the results, they will want to be able to do all of it as quickly as possible, and they're going to get frustrated if they can't. And actually, you might lose those people, and you're more likely to lose your best possible leads by making them jump through hoops they shouldn't need to jump through. So if it's a 3-part series, have all 3 videos available at once. You can send follow-up emails to remind people if they don't quite finish them all, but don't make people stop, start, and jump through hoops just to prove that they're excited and committed, because ultimately you're actually going to lose some of your most excited and committed people by forcing them through that process. Generally, when it comes to video training, I would recommend just having it as one video and make that video about 45 minutes. That's the goal, is to get to around a 45-minute training video that people can watch in one go. They make a little plan whilst they're watching that video, or they create some little steps for themselves. And then in the follow-up to that video, they're receiving those emails to invite them to take the next step with you, which in this instance is inviting them into a mastermind or a membership program. This one in particular was for a monthly membership, which was around $49 a month or something along those lines. So it was a really strong sales funnel for that mastermind, a membership. Sorry, I keep saying mastermind. And we were seeing conversion rates on the last one that I did. We've got conversion rates of about 4.5%, all working on the automated evergreen process. So some really good conversion rates happening there for that one. Now that one that got the 4.5% was a 3-part videos, and each video had a little worksheet with it, and each video was about 15 minutes. So it was a really great little training series. People got access to everything at once. They could download each of the worksheets and fill them out or print them out. And it was a really high value freebie. And I think that part of the reason why it converts so well is because it's really high value in that freebie. But also the end of each video does a really good job of talking a little bit, like 30 seconds, about what extra depth is covered inside the membership. Extra depth on this is covered inside the membership. This extra bit is covered inside the membership. It's still giving them enough to move forward and take some steps in each of those videos, but there's also that nice little seed planting of, if you want more depth, then that's exactly what I do in my membership. And then the follow-up email sequence, we just had 3 follow-up emails. They worked really well. And so, yeah, it's currently converting around 4.5%, which is a really good conversion rate for an evergreen funnel. Okay, so You can see that we've got lots and lots of things that we've discussed in this particular podcast episode. And if you are interested in setting up these types of funnels in your business, if you are looking for support with perhaps leveraging your time and getting a little more automated, then I have a wonderful opportunity for you to come and check out my new free training. And that training is called Leverage. And in that training, I'm going to help you to work out how to leverage your time in the different parts of your business. So if you are thinking that it's time for you to start leveraging your time and having your actions result in multiple results rather than having to do everything as a one-off over and over again, then I want you to come and check out that free training. The link will be with the show notes of today's episode at tashcorbin.com/275. Thanks so much for joining me for this episode of the Heart-Centered Business Podcast. Until next time, I cannot wait to see you shine. Bye for now. Would you like more tips, tools, and resources to help you grow your heart-centered business? Head to tashcorbin.com today.